Alright, so in this video we want to quickly set up an auto-scaling group in AWS. So auto-scaling is actually a feature that helps us to increase the capacity of our virtual servers in AWS. And what that means is, if you look at this explanation from AWS, you might start up with 2 virtual servers in the cloud, and as need for more computing power increases, you could automatically scale out as needed. So in this diagram here, you could start up with 2 virtual servers, or even start up with 1 virtual server. So as the need for compute power increases, probably a surge in client requests hitting your server or hitting the website running on the server, that creates a need for you to have an additional server, whereby the increase in client requests could now be handled by 2 servers instead of just 1 server. So in that instance, you need to scale out. And so scaling out could be automated, where additional server with same configuration as the running server is created automatically. That's what auto scaling is all about. And in scaling, you can always scale out, that is adding more hardware, more number of servers. You can also scale in that there is no more need for you to have additional server. You could delete those newly added servers. You could also scale up and down, that is increasing the hardware configuration of the servers. Now, having said that, let's jump into the AWS Management Console and try to configure auto scaling. Now here, I'm already in my Ec2 instance. By the way, if you don't know how to get to the Ec2 instance, all you need to do is just to type Ec2 in the search and then hit the enter key. You should be able to get here. So under instances, instance new, or instances new, you could see the virtual servers I already have. I have my home office server, and I have another server running here. Now the idea is to quickly configure auto scaling, where these 2 servers I have kind of like running into stress as a result of volume of requests hitting the servers. We could automatically create another server to help share the load. In the process of creating an auto scaling, we're also going to configure a load balancer that will help us to share the load equally across all the servers in the auto scaling group. So on the Ec2 dashboard, we're going to scroll down all the way to here we have load balancers and have auto scaling here. So what we're going to do is click on auto scaling group, and so the auto scaling group page is expected to pop up anytime soon. And once it shows up, we are going to click on create auto scaling group. And so this is the one we did in class the last time out. So created an auto scaling group, and we are going to delete it. So delete the last auto scaling that we created, and to confirm deletion, we'll have to type delete in the box and delete this ASG. Now, while the auto scaling group created in the last class is being deleted, I'm going to click on create an auto scaling group here, and we're going to give the auto scaling group a name. I'm going to name it auto scaling group 2. Alright, so make progress now. Now the next thing to do is to launch a template. Well, already I have a template created the last time out. I have a couple of templates that I've used in demos, in classes, So I have my template, I have Office template, and I have June template. All right, so we can go ahead and take one of the existing templates. Otherwise, you can click on create a launch template here, and notice that it's going to take you to another tab up here. So it's going to open up another tab. So I'll just show you real quick how to create a launch template. If you come back here, this is I'll actually be using the one I created earlier on, which is June template. That's what I'll be using, but just to show you how you can configure the template, you click on create a launch template, it opens another tab for you here. All right, so we have to start with template name. So I'm going to name this Friday template. All right, and we'll make our way down, and here you need to specify the operating system that you want to install on the server. It could be Windows, Mac, OS X, or Linux. So here, let's say Linux. Hit enter key, and it's going to give us different versions. We want to keep within the armpit of free tier, and we'll select the first one on the list. So that means that the first server we are going to create is going to be a Linux server, and if need be that we want to increase capacity, we want to create another server on the fly, is also going to be Linux server, and it's going to keep the same configuration as the earlier server created. All right, so before we hit on create launch template here, we are going to specify the instance. The instance type, we want to keep it to T2 micro so that we don't get charged. All right, so we'll drop down here and we'll look for T2 micro. So T2 micro instance type gives us 1 CPU and 1 gig of RAM. 30 gig of hard drive space is also provided within the T2 micro configuration. Keypair, if you don't have a keypair, you can click on create a keypair. I've created a couple of keypairs and I don't want to create a new one. If you want to create a keypair, just give the keypair a name. You could just name this guy test, and that's all you need to do. Don't change any other setting here, and you scroll down here, you're going to click on create keypair. I'm going to cancel because I have a couple of keypair, so I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to use a keypair for my Linux servers, which I created in the last class. Otherwise, if you are doing this from scratch, please click on create a keypair, give it a name, and then click create keypair. Very simple, straightforward. And that's about what we're going to do here. We're going to use the existing firewall group, otherwise you can create a new firewall group, give it a name, and yeah. So before we hit on the create launch keypair, we are going to go all the way down at the bottom here where we have advanced details, and under this advanced details you are going to go all the way down to input, user data, and this is where you can put some magic. You can put some scripting, some commands that you want to help you automate stuff inside this virtual machine. So as the virtual machine is being created, you are going to have all those commands run for you. As a matter of fact, if I go to my system, download, and I'm going to look for code for AWS training, just hold on, code, probably need to search for it. So code, actually I saw code there but it's zipped. I have unzipped it. So open this guy and open this up and go to Ec2 fundamentals, and I have a code that I want to paste in that box. Control A, select everything, Control C. We're actually installing a web server. That's what this is all about. Yum install httpd. That's all. And so while this Linux machine is being created, a web server will also be installed on top of the machine on the fly. And so once this is inputted, we need to click on create launch templates. Okay, so maybe I will go ahead and create it, but I wanted to use the one I've created before. So let me see, probably I may have to go ahead with this. Did I give it? Okay, Keypair Linux servers, T2 micro Linux machine, and yeah, template name Friday template. Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm. Template name is Friday template, and so let's see. There is any other thing I need to change, and that's pretty much how far we can go here. So I'm going to click on create launch template. Hopefully it's going to be successfully created. That's it, successfully created Friday template. So over to the next tab, got here, we giving our Autoscaling group a name, ASG2, and here it said we should create a launch template, which we have just done. And so what we're going to do is just refresh the screen and try to drop down. We should see one called Friday template, which we just created. And yeah, so all the parameters in that Friday template will be imported into this page, and just scroll down and hit on create Autoscaling group. So remember that Keypair, we are using Linux servers, and so instance type we'll keep it to T2 micro, which is free tier. All right, so we'll have to go to next and next again. Here we have to select availability zone. So in this case, we are going to select East. Hold down the control button on the keyboard, select 3 different zones: US East 1A, US East 1B, and US East 1C. Alright, so once those are selected, we are going to go to next. And then this point, we need to create a load balancer. So we are going to set up probably more than one server. If you are setting up only one server, we don't need a load balancer, because there is no other server that this server should share load with. But once we have more than one server doing same task, we need a load balancer that will help the two servers to be more efficient. So in this case, I actually have an existing load balancer, so I could say attach existing load balancer, and down here I should be able to choose the load balancer that I already have. So existing load balancer, let me check. So I have a couple of existing. I have web servers, HTTP, demo TG1, that is also AG1, HTTP. Alright, so if you already created a load balancer, which means you have gone here, click on load balancers and manually created it, you could just attach it. Otherwise, if you don't have any load balancer existing, you could just attach a new load balancer. So I'm just going to use this one that I named web servers HTTP. Alright, so I'm using the existing load balancer, and yeah, so it's very optional here, either to use the existing one or to create a new one. Alright, and so we scroll down, Here we make sure that elastic load balancer is ticked, and we go down here and go to next. All right, so this is the scaling policies with desired capacity. Want also start with 2 virtual servers. Minimum capacity is 1, so under no circumstance should we not have a server at all. When 2 servers is no longer needed, when the CPU and the processing power of the server is so low, we can drop to 1 server, do away with the other one. But then maximum capacity, how far we can go, we can scale out rather, up to 10 servers. Could also scale up to 5 servers, okay, depending on the CPU usage. And that's where we specify the policies. You leave it on none. It means that when you want to scale out, you have to come here and create another server manually yourself. But you can also automate it by selecting target tracking scaling policies instead of leaving it on none. And so we name it, what do you want to name it? Auto scaling group policy. So the name really can be anything, and then come down here, metric type, criteria that we need to use to decide whether or not we should go ahead and create another virtual server. We just leave it on the default, which is CPU utilization. My CPU gets to 90%. Please go ahead and create another server. Yeah, as simple as that. And then go to next. And that's pretty much what we need to do here. If you like, could review it. If you don't like, you can just skip to go to next and next again, and then click on finish. All right, so this is the group details. ASG2, that is the name of our Autoscaling group. We created a template that has all the criteria that every single virtual machine we create should have. Named it Friday template. If you found out that you made a mistake somewhere, you could always click on edit, get back and correct it, and then come back to this page. All right, so that's what we need to do. Now we would like to go ahead and hit the button at the bottom here to create our Autoscaling group. And at the end of this creation, we are going to have 2 virtual servers created, and could scale out up to 10 servers. And the criteria to add another server to these 2 servers is when the CPU of these 2 servers is 90%. And that's basically how to create Autoscaling. ASG2 has been created successfully, and that's a good news. So if you look at target groups here under load balancer, just hold on for the page to load up. And yeah, so the target group, we call it demo TG1, and if you should expand this demo TG1 and look at the target, refresh. Just hold on. Am I at the right place? Target group. Okay, sorry. We need to go all the way up. Health check, monitoring, Okay, and let's go the way up to EC2. So this is the Ec2 instances, new, and I'll refresh the screen. Alright, so before this tutorial started, I already have 2 virtual machines, 2 virtual servers, and I actually terminated one as I was about to start this recording, and you can see the 2 virtual machines we just created are still initializing. So these 2 middle one here, they are still initializing, and so could click on one of them, and this is the private IP address of one of the virtual machines. This is the public IP address of one of the virtual machines. And so you could scroll down and see that this guy is a Linux machine, and yeah, so all the parameters of this, the CPU is 1, CPU count is 1. All right, so everything seems to be fine with this machine. All right, so that's auto scaling. So we just hold on one more time for the initialization process of these 2 virtual machines to complete, and we should be done with our auto scaling configuration. And so that's actually what we need to do to quickly configure auto scaling. Note that while configuring auto scaling, you are going to also have to configure load balancer. Now I'm going to show you how to log into a Linux server in AWS. I already know that you know how to log into a Windows machine in the AWS, but haven't shown you how to connect to Linux. And these 2 servers we just created here, this server and this server. Okay, one of the servers is done initializing, it remains the second one. Let me refresh the screen again. Sorry, it's the upper screen that I need to refresh. Alright, so everything is fine. So these 2 servers are created automatically, and we could scale out up to 10 servers. Now these 2 servers here are Linux servers, and this my home server here, of course, is a Windows Server 2019. We already know how to connect to this guy, but this particular server here, Linux servers, we haven't seen how to connect to a Linux server yet. So I can actually name this, just name this guy web server 1. All right, and so I will be able to identify it, and I will name this guy web server 2. All right, save. Okay, so web server 1, web server 2, these are my Linux servers, and so I'm going to show you how to connect to these servers, Linux, using either PuTTY, Terraterm, whichever of those software you have on your system. So I'm going to stop this recording here so that this video is not too large, and then I'll show you how to connect to these Linux servers in another video. Thank you so very much for watching, and see you in the next video.